Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Savvy. It's myself, George, bringing you a brand new video. I don't know if StreamYard's glitching out, but for some reason the intro isn't not playing the audio. So apologies about this. Bear with me one moment. There we go. Sorry, guys, my headset was playing up. That's very embarrassing. Firstly, as I said, Reboots From Hell, brand new episode, joined with Phil and Theo. How are we both doing tonight, people?
Even, yeah, not doing too bad. Not too bad yourself?
I'm all
right. Doing well, right. How are you?
I'm all right. Sorry, I've butchered the worst intro ever. I found out what happened. I had the YouTube link up at the side. It's just started playing it whilst I'm doing this. So that's why I've not been live for a while. A bit rusty, bit of on-air issues. It does happen. We are here doing another Reboot From Hell. We're rounding out the prequel trilogy. This is, of course, us talking about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Now, you might be wondering, where's Tate? Obviously, Tate's doing all these with me. The reason with Revenge of the Sith is that it's basically the same cast as Attack of the Clones. So just to make things easier and not us just repeating ourselves, we've gone for two guests. So Phil comes in, where Theo comes in, and we'll be going through the casting list for this. But before we get into all of that, and I'll put you both on the spot or something as well, very shortly, everyone comment below your thoughts. If you were going to reboot Revenge of the Sith, who would you cast? Who would be your director, your composer, your cast members? Comment them below. And of course, hit the subscribe button. I keep saying there's a lot more Star Wars stuff on the way. This week, there truly is a lot more Star Wars stuff on the way. We have a splatter of Obi-Wan Kenobi in 4 days. We have Star Wars Celebration. And then we have every Wednesday some more Ewan McGregor hype to talk about. So a lot of Star Wars stuff is happening. And if you are new to the channel, if you don't know what we do, of course, we're a film channel. Yes, we're hyping up the Star Wars TV shows, but let's be blunt, Star Wars sort of transcends all media. So find us on our social medias. It's the best place to find out about our videos, what we do. Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. And now, before I get into this, I'm going to ask everybody as well, putting you both on the spot. Phil, I'll come to you first. How hyped are you for Friday?
A little bit. We've done a couple of videos already on the trailers and previews when it comes to Kenobi. Yeah, I've been counting down the days to this one. I'm stupidly excited for Friday.
I am also very excited. Yeah, just to see Ewan McGregor back. Even like a little snippet. We got that little clip the other day. So a little snippet of the accent really gets the Star Wars juices flowing. Is it Friday and then Wednesday, or is it every Friday?
Yeah, Friday, Wednesday. So we're gonna have 3
in 5 days
in the next. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is actually a bit of a blessing, I think. And yeah, we are here, as I said, talking celebration, hyping sort of. So what I'm going to say with that is, obviously, I normally do this at the end, but we'll do it now. There's going to be a Kenobi spoiler discussion this Friday, the 27th of May, 8 p.m. We'll be live covering the first 2 episodes, and then it'll be every Wednesday, like we used to do Book of Boba Fett with Mandalorian. 8 p.m. on the dot there, not 10 p.m.s, because we can get people around a little bit early now. It makes it easier for you guys at home. There's no football. There's no World Cup this year. I think that's during Loki last year. There was the Euros on, which really affected us when we used to do videos, or me at least. But none that's worry about. We just have the summer of Ewan McGregor. I'm sure there's a better terminology out there for somebody. But as I said, we are here talking Revenge of the Sith. And if anyone's unfamiliar with the concept from Reboots From Hell, we essentially have a classic film, trilogy, franchise, you name it, genre film, anything. We've got a list of 100, and we have a master list in which, you know, technically a randomizer should land in it. We'll pick the film, we'll reboot it. It's need a new director, new cast members. Some of them will have a composer like this. Obviously, we're getting John Williams out. Not that anyone ever wants to see that happen. In fact, he's still churning out Kenobi themes. His 90s is absolutely incredible. But you know, we've got a lot of names to cover, a lot of people to go through, and with it being Kenobi, we just said the month of May, Star Wars month, we will just do it a Star Wars prequel trilogy, and rounding out on the week before Kenobi. We're not going to reboot Kenobi. We don't want to. We want Ewan McGregor here, so it's a kind of awkward celebration of his films. But whilst we get into it properly, what I'm going to do for everybody at home, I have a cast list that I'm bringing up on the screen for you all now. So these are the 10 roles and 2, I guess, crew members as an understatement to do that we're recasting today. So this is the order we're going to do them in. We've got, obviously, Count Dooku, General Grievous, Emperor Palpatine. We've got the clones. Obviously, you know, Jango Fett is the clones, but he's decapitated at this point in time. Yoda, Mace Windu, Bail Organa, Padme, Anakin, finishing with Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course, with being the man of the hour with this Friday. And we'll be kickstarting off going over new directors and composers. So, what is worth adding, as I said, we did Attack of the Clones last week. I've done most of these. I've updated my photos, so I'm going to bring them up, but I'm not going to discuss why I've picked them. That has already been done, but it's just to complete the circle. And we're going to actually kickstart talking about directors. I've spoke quite a bit, so actually what I'll do, Phil, I'm going to let you go first for this one. Which director have you picked that will be rebooting Revenge of the Sith? And the big thing, if the concept is being made today, not again in 05, made today, 2022.
Yeah, so the reason why I chose Dave Filoni as my director for episode 3, purely because at this point in time he had been and still is the chosen one to take over from Lucas, because we have the success of The Mandalorian, we have the success of Book of Boba Fett, and of course now Kenobi and things. The entire TV universe side of Star Wars, the success of Clone Wars into Bad Batch, Rebels, Resistance. I mean, he has been the instrument and the architect for all of that, as well as being part of the key story groups. He's the one who has had a huge amount of input, along with Carrie Hart, in the actual overall continuity of Star Wars. So he's the one that has carried on George's vision and legacy more than most when it comes to Star Wars. So if I was going to do the reboot today, I'd want Anakin's story to continue with the person who's had the most hands-on experience with Anakin. And if it's being remade today, we would still have the Clone Wars. So he would have had his hand on Matt Lanter's Anakin throughout that period in time as well. He would have had the crossover then into Vader when it came to Rebels and things. So if it's remade today, that's why I choose Filoni, because he's probably your safest choice, but just because it's the obvious choice doesn't mean it's the wrong choice, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. And Theo, what do you think of Filoni, very quickly?
Yeah, I mean, he is at this point in time Mr. Star Wars, isn't he? Really, he's the man that has his hand on everything. He's basically got his hand on the wheel now. So yeah, he's the safest pair of hands. But again, that doesn't mean to say it wouldn't be good, because his track record shows that it definitely would be.
Exactly. And just popping up, we've got Martin in the comments again. We're doing this one live on YouTube tonight. Excellent choice of director. Brilliant. Love to see you, Martin, always commenting along. Comment who you'd picked director. And sticking with the realm of Dave Filoni, people that have been involved in Star Wars. Theo, who is your director for your Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, so I've sort of gone down the sort of similar route, same to Phil. I've gone for Bryce Dallas Howard, because obviously she's been involved in Star Wars already. She's been involved in episodes, especially of The Mandalorian. And those episodes were always the one that people seem to pick out, especially on social media, has just been really stylistic and having like really, really great action as well. I think where she puts the camera is different to all the other episodes. I think you can almost tell when it's a Bryce Dallas Howard episode, which is quite strange considering The Mandalorian feels quite Jon Favreau from the start. But I think she's earned and she deserves a chance to direct a Star Wars. I mean, it's not going to be Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, this is hypothetical, but I would love her to direct something else, which would be great.
No, I'm with you on that, and I think with Bryce, I mean, I put her on for Phantom Menace when we did this a few weeks ago, so it is one of those. I think I would guess. Would you both say the same? She's probably sooner to closing a Star Wars film than I think a lot of people may think. Or
so for me, I think that the Patty Jenkins removal would be for Bryce Dallas Howard replacement.
That would make
Jurassic Star Wars sense. When it came to the first series of The Mandalorian was pretty cool with the AT-ST, and she is developing her own style. She's earned her stripes, cut her teeth with Jurassic World. She's proved that she's not just her uncle's niece. She actually has her own style, and she actually can work on larger sets and can do big budgets and have the balls to go out and make her own decisions, which is why, I would completely respect her for doing it. And I like that choice.
Definitely. And I'll do mine. So for episode 2, I picked Christopher McQuarrie. Obviously, wow, we've had the Mission Impossible trailer today, so everyone go check that out. We've had it, I guess we can say, legally released today. Who is, I kind of made the point in Attack of the Clones that a lot of the film's action sequences are actually just chase scenes, and no one does chasing better than Christopher McQuarrie, especially when it's Tom Cruise running away from things. And staying with somebody that's been picked before, staying with somebody, I guess we could say, tied to Tom Cruise. The one I've gone for to direct episode 3 Into the Sith is Joseph Kosinski. Now, I know that Tate also picked him for The Phantom Menace. I am a very big Kosinski fan. Ironically, it's not just because of Top Gun I picked him, and I'm going to also plug our Top Gun Maverick review is up. Theo, you were in that press screening with me. Your review is on We Have a Hulk, so you can check yours out there. I'm going to plug that for you too. and everyone goes see it at the cinema this week, and you'll be like,
I'm
you're
very
getting
much
Star
looking forward to
Wars.
seeing it.
Exactly.
I'm very
No, don't
much
refill. We're not going to spoil it. But
No, please
It
don't.
banned.
and this is like people might be thinking of recency bias, but no, it's Tron Legacy. I'm such a massive Tron fan. Again, you know, yes, there's so much CGI, it's set in a computer, all this sort of stuff, but his world building and what he does with the action scenes in that film, I think really works. And then you get to Top Gun. And it's like, whoa, like this is a film. I could get him on Star Wars, please, sooner rather than later. So that is my pick. Don't know if anyone's got any comments or does anyone disagree with that? I'd be very curious.
No, I like that actually. I like that a lot. I agree.
Yeah.
He does know how to handle actual action scenes.
Yeah, I can't disagree after what we saw last week and what everyone will see when Top Gun comes out.
I mean, my screening I'm going again on Wednesday with my parents. It's sold out, and that doesn't happen on Wednesday nights at a local IMAX. I'm not in London, so the fact both my parents are going is even weirder. So yeah, Top Gun's going to be the sleeper hit. What we'll do, we'll also stick in composers. So just getting mine out of the way really quickly because this hasn't changed. I'm staying with Hans Zimmer. I picked him for Attack of the Clones. I'll let him round off the trilogy with Revenge of the Sith. It's me, it's Hans Zimmer, it's going to get picked, it's going to happen. And he's worked with Top Gun, with Joseph Kosinski. I don't think the Top Gun score was all that, but Hans Zimmer would do Star Wars one day. So that's mine, just getting out of the way. Phil, who is your composer?
I've gone for Michael Giacchino. I mean, it is straight up and down Rogue One. That soundtrack just blew me away from start to finish. And it's not just the style he does, it's the fact that using Rogue One as an example, he adds little Star Wars notes that we know and love whilst having his own flavor. And I felt like when he did that score, it added to it rather than took away. Compared to who was it who did Solo? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
John Powell?
Yeah, that was it. Because John Williams did the actual solo
theme. A bit like Kenobi, yeah.
Yeah. And I do not feel John Powell's overall score is anywhere near as strong as Giacchino. And also, he has quite a large track record. I feel, again, it'd be quite safe hands. And working very closely with a director on it, you want someone who has a passion for Star Wars. And if you're working with my choice of director, Filoni, I feel that would be a lovely connection there.
No, 100%. Theo, what do you think of that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw what he did with what he did with the Batman as well. I think 100%. He'd be a great choice. And I think, like you say, of Rogue One as well, dropping in the sort of the little Star Wars beats we know, but mixing it with new stuff is essential, I think, for Star Wars films, because you don't want, you don't want stuff to essentially be a copy, which we have seen.
Yeah, which is why actually I didn't pick Ludwig Göransson, because I went for him originally when I was looking at it. But the more I think about The Mandalorian and the more I think what he's done, he doesn't actually add those Star Wars notes at all. He adds his own take on it. And I love what he's done for The Mandalorian, but he doesn't add that. And I film for a Star Wars film for episode 3. That's why I went Giacchino over Göransson, but both would have been a good choice. But I want those additional notes. I mean, Battle of Heroes is one of the most amazing pieces of Star Wars music we've ever had, and the only person who I could think could come close to it would be Giacchino.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, like, not just doing this episode for just trick in, but just Battle of Heroes before days away from Obi-Wan Kenobi? I'm going to keep getting excited tonight. I feel like Revenge of the Sith did work out really well to speed tonight. I really should rewatch it this week, but Netflix sent me like 9 hours of one small half volume one, so I unfortunately have to sit through. But that's slagging that off. That's coming soon to the channel at some point. Theo, your composer. It is a great plug. I'm going to keep it nameless, but it's streaming this Friday. It's not the one we'll be watching on Friday.
Yeah. So I went a bit rogue, and it might be because I was like 6 beers down when you asked me to send this to you, and because we'd just seen Top Gun as well. So sort of someone that was with Hans Zimmer and did Top Gun Maverick as well. I went for Lady Gaga. The reason I did that was obviously what we saw when people see Top Gun as well. I think when Lady Gaga came in, Tom Cruise spoke quite highly of how she was a major part of the score, which I thought was really surprising because she'd come in obviously to do the original song. So I quite like the idea of letting someone who's had, I don't know, such a massive footprint on music and pop music for the last 10, 15 years, letting them loose on something completely rogue like a Star Wars film. I think that would be great.
I think with Gaga as well, like you mentioned the Top Gun stuff with her. Obviously, I mean, we're not going to give her a role in the film. House of Gucci or whatever you really want to see her in something. But she's one of them where I think you're onto it. Like, I feel that she was involved in Top Gun so much when it plays in the film. I'm not going to obviously like give details of that, but you'd be, as you said, as the way the spoken about, she's involved a lot more than I think we thought.
Yeah.
I sort of want to quickly break Martin's comment. I love Rogue One, my favorite Star Wars film after A New Hope, and he has his Top Gun tickets. But this has kind of been a mini Top Gun like plug as well. We're going to keep it going, but with Gaga, I wouldn't be surprised if she eventually actually does go into like composing something that she's
100%,
got.
I think she will.
She's got this like not this presence, but she isn't just like a musician that just comes on, sings and goes. Like, she is invested.
Yeah, it's quite
one
clear.
she did with
sorry,
trying to name the film she did with Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
Yeah, was it Star Is Born? What was it?
Oh, with Bradley Cooper.
Oh, Bradley Cooper. Sorry,
Yeah,
Bradley Cooper. Sorry,
I'd
just finished watching,
pay to watch
Shanghai Noon. Sorry,
yeah, no.
But Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because that's the thing. That again, that's a similar one where she had quite a bit of a hand on it, and there's bits and pieces in the score that you wouldn't realize are her.
Yeah.
So I quite like there's an off-the-wall choice.
She's had a career that hasn't just spanned in pop music. Obviously, she's had albums of all sorts, and we know she can like sort of delve into sort of classical region as well. So I think a big budget studio film, I think someone should take a punt on Lady Gaga. And if I was doing this, that's what I'd do.
I think as well with Top Gun, like, I don't know if anyone saw it on this off topic, but there was that amazing interview where I think because Lady Gaga, Tom Cruise sacked 21 pilots, i.e. they were banned, I think. And because it was Top Gun about planes, loads of people mistook it for him sacking 21 pilots from the film, which, i.e. actual like people piloting planes, which, well, maybe it's true somewhere, but not to the context of that story. But that just is the journalism and people that don't read out, of course, and make headlines. But that's going to round out like the two creative casts. We're going to like move into the cast now. So we're going to kickstart with Count Dooku, and I'm really excited to talk about this. So as I said, mine was done last week, sticking with Timothy Dalton, one of the great actors of, well, not our time, but he is of course an ex-James Bond. And Time Lord, I always seem to forget, and many other things. So I've gone for Timothy Dalton. But no, I don't care what I've gone for. Phil, who is your choice to play Count Dooku?
So I went for Charles Dance. Charles Dance is a phenomenal actor who has, along with the late Sir Christopher Lee, has done quite a lot of film stars history, not only films but done stage productions as well. He's an extremely well-versed actor in that similar school of things, from everything from Rocky Horror all the way through to Game of Thrones. And it's his portrayal between Prince Philip in The Crown and Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones that made me choose him to play Count Dooku, because he has both that level of sincerity but also pompous self-righteousness from those characters, that his gravitas and weight he could bring to the role would then make it believable that he believes in Palpatine and the entire plot to destroy the Jedi, and of course playing off of whoever people have chosen for Obi-Wan Kenobi, again would balance quite well. He definitely balanced well off my pick, and we'll get to that when we get to that for everyone. And whoever you had, George, as well for episode 2. But I felt Charles Dance is one of those actors that whoever you put in front of him is just going to elevate the scene. And Count Dooku, although a pivotal character in episode 2 and 3, is very little seen. Especially in episode 3, he's not there for much of it. So you want someone who has a lasting impact like Sir Christopher Lee. So that's why I went with Charles Dance.
I think he's a solid choice. I mean, we'll get to talk about Charles Dance, I think a little bit later on potentially as well. But he's one of those actors where, I mean, I say the first thing I saw him in, like, he's been in everything, but Game of Thrones was the first thing where I was like, wow, like, who is this guy? And then, you find out, oh, look, he's been in Bond, he's been in this, and I've actually seen him in loads of things. But, I think when people always talk about Lord of the Rings, they always talk about him being Sauron, which is of a Christopher Lee role, and he's just incredible. Not just being a villain, but he just has a presence, and I think presences are very hard to come by for certain actors in certain roles, and that's why I really like him for this.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a great choice, and I love what you said about him elevating everyone. You can see that in Game of Thrones. Like, you can see he's having a great time, but he is lifting the performance out of like Nikolai Coster-Waldau and like Lena Headey, and he just elevates them as well. So like getting people to bounce off him would be pretty cool.
Definitely. And staying on Count Dooku for the final one, Theo, who do you have on your pick?
So I went very rogue on this as well. I've gone for Gillian Anderson as Count Dooku. I was switching it up massively. I think Gillian Anderson, sort of similar to Charles Dance, they're both electric character actors, as in like they command the screen whenever they're on the screen, and they've both done a lot of TV as well as a lot of well, Gillian Anderson's done more TV, but they've both done a lot of roles that they properly sink their teeth into. So I think Gillian Anderson would have an absolute whale of a time, and I'd love to see her sort of theatrical take on it as well. I think she'd be having the best time of her life. And to bounce off again of I know that's Attack of the Clones. I'm thinking about her battling Yoda. Maybe I should switch it up completely. But
well, yeah, in theory, it would happen.
Yeah, it would happen.
Theory,
yeah, if we were counting back. But yeah, seeing her bounce off again, who I've got for Yoda as well, I think that would be great.
Yeah.
Agent Scully is that X-Files?
Yeah,
I don't know who is. Okay, you can tell I've never seen it, so I'm glad I got that bet right. Okay, thank you. Sorry to potentially embarrass myself. So yeah, Gillian Anderson, I've not actually, you know what? I've not seen her much for her reputation and how much I know of her. I've never seen Sex Education, I've never seen X-Files, I've not seen The Crown. I've definitely seen her in some things. I know she has been others, but I quite like it. And the things of like Count Dooku, you know, as you said, it's a bit being electrical. When you get one scene, you need someone to come in, make an impact, and go.
Especially when you've not got that much time, you really need someone to come and steal the show. And especially the start of Revenge of the Sith with the fight as well, to come straight out the blocks. I think that would be cool.
I like it. I like it a lot. I must admit, if I was going female, I'd probably put Sigourney Weaver in that kind of role as well, that kind of same level of electricness there. But I like it. I like the fact you switch it up there for Gillian Anderson. Yeah, I agree. She would bring people up as well and does add that different element to it. So yeah, I like that. Good choice.
Got to be someone with absolute gravitas about them, I think, because that's obviously what Christopher Lee brought to the role.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of gravitas, we get to talk about General Grievous, and I was sticking with the villains. Now, listen, this is the only new character from Attack of the Clones, so we basically got rid of 3PO to put Grievous in, and let's be honest, like General Grievous is a living legend. I mean, he's not living to a point in Star Wars anymore, but you know, as a kid, like when he popped up, I was like, why is there a coughing droid? Like, why is it so fantastic? And then he whacks his 4 arms out, and like fucking hell, like George Lucas has done it again. And that was me growing up. But this was the weirdest one to recast me, because essentially, you know, Matthew Wood, who does voice him, is a sound engineer by trade, and has been able to delve into voice roles within Star Wars, which is pretty cool. Like, I think anyone would do that. Anyone that would work on a Star Wars would try and get themselves into it as well. But yeah, trying to get a voice actor to General Grievous, I went with Nicolas Cage, and the reason why, and people might be laughing, is ridiculous. If you actually look at the premise of General Grievous, like, he's an asthmatic droid that was a man, alien, sorry, that just kept replacing himself, you know, with droid parts to try and make himself better. That's like someone unhinged, and you need the most unhinged actor in the world. And if you're not sold on Nicolas Cage, like, could you just imagine the behind the scenes of him, like when the camera's on him recording voice lines? Like when General Grievous dies and his arms go out and he's doing the whole, you know, the platoon thing that Willem Dafoe does. You can imagine Nicolas Cage in the studio just screeching it. It'd be so unbelievable. And the coughing and the shouting. I just had to go for Nicolas Cage. Again, it's a bit of fun. It's not too serious, but at the same time, like, I kind of want Nicolas Cage in a Star Wars film. Please, thank you.
Yeah, I'd want to see full mocap behind the scenes of that. I want him green dotted up.
What's about to General Kenobi? What the no?
Eddie,
he should be in a Star Wars in some capacity. He needs to get into these shows.
Now he's been in the film with Pedro. How I forgot about it. One of my favorite films of the year. Their deals, like, there's got to be a way to get him in The Mandalorian now, just for one scene. Don't care who or what he plans to play. Just get him in a scene with Pedro Pascal, please, and it'll be this lovely little reunion, because their chemistry was unbelievable. In how have I forgotten? It's not everyone talking about Kevin. That's completely different. There we go. Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. But yeah, just get Nicolas Cage in a Star Wars film. I'm just surprised it never happened. Like, even in like a voice role line like Clone Wars, like Lucas used to go for like a lot of big names for these minor roles. And you know, I guess the Coppola collection as well to a point would
Yeah,
work.
he might have been offered it, to be fair, at some point. I remember he said he was offered Lord of the Rings and turned it down, so it wouldn't have surprised me if he was offered Star Wars.
Was it Aragorn he was offered? I remember.
I can't remember, but yeah, he said he was offered, but he couldn't go because he didn't want to be away from his family for 3 years.
I don't honestly, like, I'm not the big Lord of the Rings fan, but could you, like, I love Viggo Mortensen, but imagine Nicolas Cage like kicking that helmet and breaking his toe that everyone always goes on about. Like, he'd be so good in Lord of the Rings. But again, it's just, you get Nicolas Cage. But enough of him. Phil, who have you gone with?
So I'm with David Spader for Grievous in this one, and that is primarily, I must admit, down to Ultron. Again, it's that weight, it's that gravitas, that voice, and it's a bit of a cop-out, I must admit, going from one mechanical monstrosity to another, but I feel he could also bring the humor as well. And that's what you got with Ultron that I feel he could then bring to Grievous. It'd be a different role, it'd be a different style, but I do feel, because with Grievous, it's a lot, the cough is one part of it, the voice is another, and it's the mannerisms that bring him to life. I mean, don't get me wrong, 4 lightsabers is goddamn cool, and we all want that, but it's that voice for me was very, very important. I think mocap as well could be a big part of it, but no, definitely the voice. But basically, primarily from Ultron, he's done a few other cool things as well, but my mind definitely went to that kind of level of, you need someone who can get in the headspace of someone who believes they're absolutely right, but also wants to have fun killing people.
I love it. I think James Spader's got one of the most, like, distinct voices of cinema, and I think he was actually, like, very much underused in Ultron. I don't mind Age of Ultron, but, like, I really liked him in it. I don't know if anyone's seen The Office. He gets, like, a guest run for a few episodes, and that way he's fantastic. Yeah, and he's like the right end of, like, creepy, where, like, it doesn't borderline on, like, comedy, but it's just how he delivers lines. And I take him as Grievous. Like, it'd make him more sinister, which is maybe the one thing that people don't think he is, especially, not that we're doing Clone Wars, but imagine, like, that sort of Ultron type thing across Clone Wars would be cool.
Yeah, I think that's cool. It balances sort of the harshness with the sort of theatricality, because, like, General Grievous inherently, like, it is a bit silly. So you need someone to match the theatricality of whoever's playing Obi-Wan as well, I think, which works.
No, 100%. And Theo, who have you gone for in yours?
I've gone for Ross Marquand, who people might know from The Walking Dead. He plays Aaron in that. He's a fantastic impressionist for one, so he's amazing at voices. He's done quite a lot of voice work as well. And I was thinking about the whole mocap aspect of it, and then I was like, I'll just settle on going for a pure voice. And I think he could, if we wanted to change the voice up, could definitely change the voice up. I think we could, like Phil, you were saying, where the cough is inherently different to the voice. I think he could separate that really well, and I think he'd definitely be able to match the performance and theatricality of Obi-Wan's sort of brashness as well, and I think they could have a nice dynamic.
So I've not seen Walking Dead. Well, I've seen the pilot, but I have seen him in Avengers, because he replaced not Elrond. Of course, it's Elrond. I forgot his name.
He replaced Hugo Weaving, wasn't it?
Hugo Weaving, that's it. And you mentioned impressions like that. Red Skull, like, impression is just, like, perfect. And it'd be curious. And I think voice actors are, like, really underrated. Like, a couple of mine, I've gone for actors in the roles, and that is fairly common. But I think when you get someone that is trained that can do not just impressions, but, like, just, I always say, I don't know if you've watched Bad Batch, Theo, but, like, obviously, Phil, I know you have. When D. Bradley Baker's playing all the clones, and, like, you can see behind the scenes of him in all 4 characters, and the camera doesn't cut. He's not voicing them separately. He can just do all 4 characters, like, in a conversation with themselves. A bit like Andy Serkis can do a lot of the time as well, with, like, Gollum to Caesar and back. I think there's a real art there. And I don't actually think that many normal actors can do it on call as well as voice actors, and it's so underrated.
So you mean Smeagol, not Caesar?
No, he's done it. He's done Gollum to Caesar.
From Planet of the Apes.
On talk shows. Yeah.
For a second, that I literally was thinking in the booth going from Gollum to Caesar, but as Gollum rather than Smeagol, and my mind just completely went in a different track.
I mean, he could put Snoke in there. Andy Serkis is running the rules.
Yeah.
get him in every start. He's been Godzilla, he's been King Kong. Didn't have much words on either of those two, though, if I'm being truthful. No, but that is going to wrap up the, well, not the villains per se, but I guess you could say what, the separatist leaders. I don't really know. I'm not going to get too bogged down into that, but we're going to move on to Palpatine. I guess this is the first major player, right? This is Palpatine's film. You know, when you think of Ian McDermott, you think of memes, you think of everything, you think of that smiley face. And I've used that smiley face for this tonight. So just as a recap for people, he's been my Palpatine across the trilogy. I've gone for Jason Isaacs. Obviously, well known for many, many great things, but primarily to me, Lucius Malfoy, that ridiculous, over the top, fun, insane character role. And this is the film where you give Lucius Malfoy a lightsaber to have a duel with some Jedi, do a corkscrew spin, do a bits of screaming, bit of laughing, bit of over the top. It's everything I think he could do and more. So he is my Palpatine for these trilogy moving forwards. But enough of me, Phil.
Yeah, so for Palpatine, I'm with Ian McKellen. He is, of course, one of our most beloved British actors. He has the Shakespearean background, same as Ian McDermott. He has. We've used gravitas a lot tonight, but when it comes to Star Wars, it is very important to have those characters that carry weight, and we all know that Ian McKellen can. Going from, especially with his performance as Gandalf, you could see both the playful side that he can bring, but also the more serious side. I think with Palpatine, you need to be able to tread the line very, very carefully between puppet politician to Dark Lord of the Sith. And can you imagine Ian McKellen sat there going, doing the, did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? It's one of those iconic scenes from Revenge of the Sith. And it's one of those little turning points, the first proper seed where he's going, I might actually not who you think I am, to Anakin. And you need someone who can pull it off, both with the level of sincerity that it's required, but also that level of cautious optimism that Palpatine has, because he knows that he's starting to put his plan into proper action now. This is not a game. This is not he's building up. This is now the first seeds of, all right, let's see if I can start to drip feed more of the dark side, more of a how much do I have a hook on Anakin? And I think Ian McKellen has the ability to play both sides of the coin very, very well.
I love it. I mean, I'm a massive fan of his. I mean, I don't think anyone can dislike him as Magneto, but I think I prefer his Magneto to his Gandalf. Again, two completely different characters. Couldn't be more different, but he's so enjoyable as a villain. And I think because he's so well theatrically shown to be, has he played a villain that much before? I'm sure he obviously would have across his career and how many decades.
Magneto, not a huge amount.
Well, yeah, this is it. He's always been, not Ian McKellen, but you think of that Gandalf-esque character, and obviously you got the incredible Patrick Stewart relationship, and you could argue Patrick Stewart just a little bit like Yoda. No one has picked him tonight, so I don't mind saying that. But could you imagine Patrick Stewart's Yoda versus Ian McKellen's Palpatine? That'd be unbelievable. But it's kind of something I don't even think that you mentioned the Darth Plagueis the Wise story. It's like when Magneto turns his head and that posh voice is like Charles, that's as Palpatine-ish as it can go, and I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great choice, especially because you need someone that is believable that Anakin would trust as well. And Ian McKellen, he toes that line well because we all know he's a lovable guy, but he can play the harshest of villains. So I think that's a great choice.
Definitely. And speaking of choices, Theo, who is your Palpatine for your film?
Well, we've already spoken about the man, but I've gone for Charles Dance. There's not really much more to say other than I went sort of a similar line to Phil as when I was thinking of the Darth Plagueis the Wise story when I was casting it. So I'm sat there thinking, I'm picturing Charles Dance say these lines, but then also picturing him screaming unlimited power, and I think it works beautifully.
But you went for the master, I went for the apprentice.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm very surprised Charles Dance hasn't been in Star Wars yet. Because Star Wars has also had so many Game of Thrones actors in it, sort of in the Disney era, especially with it sort of filming in London, most of it. But how has he not ended up in it as an Imperial general or a commander or something? He is so well equipped to be in a Star Wars film, and it's just bonkers we've never had it. Maybe we'll get announced Celebration this week or something, who knows. But I think Charles Dance would be perfect. And also, could you imagine him holding a lightsaber? Like, he would look
Yeah, and the bit
absolute
when
Tom.
the bit when him and Anakin are like twirling round the table when Anakin finds out he's the Sith as well. I think that would be great.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I'd say in a heartbeat. Phil, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I love it. It's exactly just why I went from as Count Dooku, similar reasons. So yeah, really approved.
Perfect. And next up, we'll move into, I guess we can say it's another villain. We have the clones. So obviously there were Jango Fett last week, but he's dead at this point in time. But obviously, his face will live on as it did pre-Book of Boba Fett. Temuera Morrison. I mean, I really liked Temuera Morrison. It was so nice for him to get his comeback in Mando and Boba, but I always loved him in Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, like when he was all these different people. Obviously, tech's not advanced, but Phil, I'm not going to get you started. But obviously, there's not a single live action suit. Obviously, it was made today, would actually have clones in costumes.
If Dave Filoni was doing it, especially, we would. Damn it.
Yeah, and I think that hasn't one of the few things that I think really is aging now on Revenge of the Sith. It's like when there are characters that are CG that didn't need to be CG. And I think the clones are this. So just going to our clone picks, obviously, it's not just Commandy, it's Cody, sorry, it's all of them. So I went for Manu Bennett last week, obviously mainly known from Deathstroke and in DC stuff, and obviously he's in Spartacus as well. Absolute unit, wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him. And the big thing with the clones, it's got to be someone that you can see, like, in theory, he's like the last face that every Jedi's going to see is this geezer shooting them, killing them, doing what needs to be done. No hesitation, no mercy. That's not a Darth Vader. So that is mine. But I'm really excited to go through both your picks. So Phil, who have you picked to be yours?
I must say, and it's for those last few reasons of the last face you're going to see is Jason Statham. Because seeing Jason Statham with a load of blasters in your face is not going to be a pretty sight. He also plays, he's very believable when it comes to that half-man side of things, but he also can play soft. There's a documentary, two documentaries called Truth in 24, which I know none of you would have seen. It's a very niche thing, but he did a documentary as a narrator for Audi when they were at Le Mans. He did it in 2008 and 2011, and it's really softly spoken. It's Jason Statham throughout, but if you didn't know it, you wouldn't know compared to what he does on screen. So he can play the softer side, but yeah, you're talking about a army that has been bred for war from a very ruthless bounty hunter that, yeah, it's a simple man make his way across the galaxy, but has a massive chip on his shoulder. And as much as I could have gone, Manu Bennett is a really good shot. I actually quite like George. But if you're going away from that kind of Kiwi side of things, I think Jason Statham gives you that believability without being too comical. It's one of the things I haven't seen past Tokyo Drift when it comes to Fast and Furious, because I'm a petrol head and it got far away from it into just stupid action films.
You've missed out on some quality Jason Statham films, I'm not going to lie.
I probably have for Jason Statham moments, but not for what I want from Fast and Furious. But that's not the point. Is I know he can play the silly action hero, but also he can do the quite believable, the more gritty side of things as well. Like if you're to recast Lock, Stock today, I'd also put him in that. It's that same kind of vein of believable thug. So yeah, that would be why I went for Jason Statham.
Yeah, I like. Sorry, go on.
No, you go there. Sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I like both. Like Manu, he's so good in Arrow as Deathstroke. I think he's great. I can definitely see that sort of believability there, and Jason Statham as well. I think what you're saying about him being soft and hard sort of works quite well. I didn't mean to say that, but yeah, because I think it would work quite well because you could believe that he'd have a relationship with Obi-Wan, but then also he could turn at the drop of a hat when Order 66 drops. I'll stop talking now. Carry on.
I do need you to keep talking because next up is yours. Yeah. No, Theo, just tell us, and then we'll go through.
I went for Glenn Powell, so I've gone a bit younger than he originally was, and I've gone a bit younger than you guys have gone. Maybe a bit of recency bias. I do like Glenn Powell anyway. I think he deserves a bigger career. I think he's a great actor, and I hope he gets more bigger roles. From Top Gun as well, I feel like having seen Top Gun Maverick sort of helps a bit putting this together. Him as the clone, he's got that sort of. He's like you were saying, George, about the last face you see before you die. Sort of, I can see him as all the clones. That sort of generic. I don't really know how to phrase this. He's sort of got that standard classic nice guy face, hasn't he? I think is the way I've tried to pitch it. But also definitely just because I'd like to see him in more stuff.
I'm trying to refrain from speaking about him because I've only seen him in Top Gun Maverick, and he is one of many great characters in that film. And he just has this. I mean, I put the smile on the photo, but he just has an instant impact.
Yeah.
In that, like the first time you meet him, he's kind of this snidey guy. I don't want to like you, but I'm kind of like,
yeah, you have to. And he's got that presence. He's got charm, but he's played both
he's ripped, man.
And he's ripped.
I saw behind the scenes photos. Like he's an absolute unit, and you wouldn't think that in Top Gun, being not rude, but because you don't see him being shredded, but. Yeah, he's I don't know, Phil. Have you seen him in anything? If not, that's another reason to watch Top Gun.
I haven't.
We're sponsored by Paramount today. Honestly,
I would say, literally, they should be paying you. I would say everybody wants Richard Linklater's film. He's in that. He's one of the leads in that. And he's charming, likable, so he has that factor about him. And then you have the sort of arsehole side that he's played. But also, this can be a little plug for Everybody Wants Some, because go and watch that because it's one of the best films of the last 15 years.
Okay, I will need to see that. And next up, moving away from the clones, we get to actually talk about some of the heroes or some ill-fated people. Yoda is up next, Jedi Master Yoda. Now, last week I went for Mark Hamill, bit on the nose. You're looking, for someone to be the Jedi Master, be the wisest person on the planet. Well, why not the guy that's already done it and has an incredible career as a voice actor? So that was my easy on the nose pick because Yoda was really hard to not have Frank Oz. I'm not gonna lie, that's really hard. But I'm curious about both of yours. So, Phil.
It was, but you can't have Luke as Yoda. That doesn't make sense in my mind. But
he'd be rebooted at this point in time, wouldn't he?
True, but I've gone for Michael Gambon as my Yoda. Similar reason why I'm for Sir Ian McKellen. He has the gravitas, but I had a fine enough toss up between him and Sir Patrick Stewart in my head. So it's that similar reason of you need someone who's sounds wise. Yoda's one of those characters, even though he speaks nonsense, apart from in episode 2, he does actually have one solid line of dialogue that is straightforward English. So in someone who's speaking gibberish, you need someone believable and who has respect and authority. Look at Gambon's performances throughout the years. Again, just look at Dumbledore, for example, from Azkaban onwards. He needs that weight behind him, and you need that friendly voice. Yoda is one of the oldest and wisest beings on the Jedi Council and in the current Star Wars canon. You need someone who has that level behind him, and without Frank Oz, I don't know who it would be, but that's where I would put my money to give that level of performance.
I mean, when you're getting Dumbledore, you're in pretty safe hands, as long as he didn't calmly ask, "Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" and proceed to, charge at them. That's always a thing. And listen, I really like Michael Gambon. I think even in the non-Harry Potter roles, he's always had a really fascinating career. Even behind the scenes, not that it's important, but he once ran over a cyclist's foot and had to pay $100,000. One absolute legend. This is where the cyclists violently click off and unsubscribe. But yeah, what do you think, Theo?
Yeah, I love that. You need someone that's going to totally, completely buy into the sort of nonsensicality of it. So definitely love that.
Who would you be going for with your pick as well?
This was the one I struggled with the most. This is the last one I did because it took ages to sort of try and figure out who. So I sort of tried to match up him, my actor, and Charles Dance as Palpatine to try and go from there. So I actually went for Judi Dench because I wanted someone who would, like I just said, sort of buy into the nonsense of it all, but also would be 100% game to take the character wherever. And Judi Dench is not only a legend, but she's also, as we all know, pretty funny and pretty cool. So
I must admit, I didn't think about going female, but I'd be on that same Maggie Smith kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Yeah.
I think with Yoda as well, the essence of him, take away the wisdom, on the scenes where he's playing around quite joyfully, I think that can get better done out of someone like a Judi Dench type thing. She has done a lot of those softer comedies over the years
Yeah.
as well. And when he sent it, I was like, well, I didn't see this coming, and he's pretty great, if I'm being honest.
And I think as well, if you're sort of counting back to Attack of the Clones as well, like the scenes that Yoda has with the younglings and stuff like that, I think should be great in that.
Yeah, but also then it's got that side of just M when she's having a go at Bond when he's being completely roguish. So it's just like you can imagine it when she's dealing with Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi. If over Clone Wars era, she has that strength to lend to it of the why isn't it always getting into trouble as a U3 again? I know I'm using Maggie Smith's line there from Potter, but it's actually that level of just although she will take people's crap, she'll take it on a level of I'm going to use this as a lesson to teach you why you shouldn't be doing it, but it's U3 and you get results, which is what made her so great with M in Bond. I could feel she could learn that to Yoda. So I really like that. That's a really good choice there.
Definitely. And she has that sort of, she'd be able to toe the line well between the, sort of telling off the characters, but also the knowing of how, I am more powerful than you, sort of that.
Yeah, and like with my choice for Gambon, they both would have that believability that they would have bought in 100% to the Jedi.
Yeah.
And be very blind to the outside world and wouldn't see Palpatine coming.
No, I think that's a really good thing about it. I hadn't thought about it once actually. These don't see Palpatine coming, which is really the issue with the Jedi. I know Clone Wars gets into a little bit of that stuff, but I like it. Speaking of other Jedi, we get to talk about Mace Windu. Now, I went for an option last week. I went from Hershlar Ali, who we're obviously going to get to very soon, wielding a sword rather than a lightsaber, but one of the, to me, most stylish and incredible actors who could just do something that's not a Sam Jackson impression and make it his own. So with that in mind, who I'm curious to see everyone's gone for. So Phil, with you again, who have you cast to play Mace Windu?
I've gone with Michael B. Jordan. Anyone who has seen Black Panther or although I've not seen Creed fully, I've seen a lot of clips from it and seen a lot of bits throughout the years. Anyone who's seen him anything, he has such a wonderful repertoire to draw from already. He's not that old as an actor. He's he's not extremely experienced. If you go back to I can't remember the name he did when he was in might have been Creed actually, but watching it was in Creed. He has such a nice way of being authoritarian, but also being completely believable at the same time. With having I'm trying to put it into words, but he has a complexity to him that he brings to his characters. He never plays the same character twice, but he also has things he can draw on from different aspects. I mean, as Killmonger in Black Panther, he's one of my favorite MCU villains, and it's because he does play a character that's completely different and ruthless at the same time. And with Mace Windu, you need someone who is 100% behind the Jedi, but also who is a little bit kind of narcissistic, selfish, self-righteous, and arrogant at the same time. And that's one of Mace Windu's biggest downfalls, is he was so self-righteous and so arrogant in his own beliefs that he and the council were right and he and himself didn't trust Anakin. And you need someone who can play against, especially when it came down to Anakin. My choice, we'll get onto later, but you need someone who can bounce off of Anakin well but poorly, if that makes sense. Someone who Anakin doesn't trust because he's not trusted, yet he does trust him. That's the thing with Mace Windu. He does trust Anakin without trusting him, and it's a very weird relationship they have. And I think Michael B. Jordan would bring that complexity to it.
No, I love this. I'm a big fan of Michael B. Jordan. I think he's I don't want to say he's underrated now. I feel that sort of post Black Panther, anyone that didn't know of him or rate him before probably did at that point. And I think he's almost a household name. And I like to see him. I think he's an unbelievable actor. And I think some people sort of discredit him because he's popular and a lot of people fancy him, which is ridiculous when you really think about that. But I would love to see him in something like this. And he's someone that commits to roles. And obviously, he's actually moving his direction now as well, which goes to show, I think, the talent he has and how far he's willing to go for something.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason of sort of you thinking maybe he's slightly underrated at the moment, he's just been gone for a while, like directing, but also sort of picking and choosing what he does quite carefully now because he can do that because he has that level. I think that's a great choice though, because you need someone who has the respectability, but also Michael B. Jordan, he plays skeptical so well. Like he does that so well in everything he does. I don't know if you guys have seen Friday Night Lights, but he's in that. That was sort of his first big thing on TV, and he's absolutely amazing in that, playing a sort of similar sort of skeptical role. So I think, he's a great choice.
I've not seen that. I need to see The Wire still. I know he's very young when he does that one. Everyone tells me to watch The Wire. That's probably that and Sopranos are the big two I still need to watch. Swiftly moving on from things I haven't seen though. Theo, your Mace Windu. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, I've gone for Chiwetel Ejiofor. Again, just because I think he deserves to be in more stuff as well. I don't know if he's sort of viewed underrated. I know he's been in absolutely massive stuff. He's in Doctor Strange, but I would just love to see him in so much more. I think he's one of the best actors we have around at the moment, especially in England. I think he's absolutely amazing. So to have him especially in the scene where Mace Windu's death as well, going up against Palpatine, you can absolutely see that sort of same thing that you were saying, Phil, about someone who has that blind Jedi belief, sort of has that blind Jedi belief, but also is skeptical of Anakin, which is quite cool, as he sort of is with Benedict in Doctor Strange.
Big like Chiwetel. I think he's one of these actors where he's not a household name. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I know he's done a lot of TV. I know he's done stage work, I believe, as well.
Yeah, loads of stage
and a
work.
few big films. And I just think in the really big films he's been in, he's just had bad luck. Like, is it Dr. Phil? Have you seen Multiverse Madness? Sorry, I want to.
Yes, I have. Yeah,
I'm sure you have. Perfect. It's like, oh, we're finally going to get him back as Mordo, like all these years later, and like 2 scenes, and he's gone, and he didn't get to do anything in the 2 scenes again. Just him monologuing, like in the first Doctor Strange film, and I think he deserved a lot better from those. I know there's the deleted Wanda scene. It is deleted because it's in the post now, the original opening scene for the film, which would have been insane. But you mentioned Mace Windu, and like I think because Sam Jackson, you miss a bit of the actual edge on the character, whereas like Chiwetel I could see as the experienced like Jedi master who is skeptical, and you both said it, both of picks he can hold up to Anakin. I think he'd be phenomenal, and this is a kind of play that I'd just like to see him in more things. And I'm not saying like he's better age, it's not that at all. It's just I don't think he's had the look he probably should have on those bigger things.
Yeah, agreed. Yes, solid choice.
And moving on from a couple of Jedis for a bit, we're going to move into the politicians now. No house parties being thrown under lockdown in this Senate. It's kicking off Senator Bail Organa. Obviously, we did him last week. Much more important role in this. And if I'm being frank, I should have just not done him last week and left him for this week. I went for Edgar Ramirez. Again, I just went to keep the last next connection, and I'd mainly seen him in Jungle Cruise, so I'm not too fussed about that. But both of your picks I absolutely love. So Phil, as normal, I'm coming to you first. Who have you picked as Bail Organa?
Yeah, so with Andre Brower for Senator Organa, I'm not gonna lie, he is mainly because of Brooklyn Nine-Nine and his wonderful portrayal of Captain Holt in that. Because he proves that both the comedic aspects, but also the that much more serious tone. Of course, he's got Jimmy Smith in it as well, so he has the connection for Bail Organa anyway. But it was more, he does play it really well, like that the character of Holt. But he also, again, stage trained, classically trained, has been in a bunch of films and TV shows throughout his quite long career. He's also, in my opinion, quite underrated as an actor as well. And when it comes to Senator Organa, any senator, any politician, you have to have believable credibility behind it, even for people that you don't have belief or credibility in. Our own government being one of those things. I have no belief or any credibility in them, but they had to get there through people believing they were credible and actual reliable and forward-thinking people who had the people's best interests at heart. And Palpatine portrayed himself as having the galaxy's best interests at heart, whereas Senator Organa actually had the galaxy's best interests at heart, and that's what I think Andrew Barrow could bring to that.
I love him. I've not finished Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I saw most of it, and then when you catch up to where it's airing, I just drop off shows. I can't have patience to do comedies. He's got, as we've said, lots of like presence, but yeah, as a politician, like it'd be great just seeing him walking around, just doing his thing. I could just literally take him as Captain Holt. That'd be absolutely fine with me. So yeah, he's welcome.
Yeah, I love that choice. I think I'm actually annoyed I didn't think of that, to be honest. That's a sick choice. You can definitely see him as sort of that I don't want to say over the top, but just sort of like, yeah, a believable politician, really. 100% could definitely see that.
Yeah, and he has to
Yeah,
pass that belief on to Leia.
Yeah.
So you need to have that softness to it, and Andre
Yes.
Braugher can definitely play that. So,
and we're going to stick with some other classic sitcom characters. Theo, who have you picked as better gun of you?
I've gone for Patson Joseph as mine. I love Patson Joseph. I think he's, I don't want to say underrated because I feel like we said underrated a million times for all these actors, but he's so underrated. And again, he's one of those else, like he's also classically trained, etc. And he has that definitely believability in the role of a politician. And he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife, I think. So I think he could jump into anything. So dropping him in this, I don't think would be a problem for him, and get him in more things.
I've not seen much from him. If I'm being absolutely honest. Obviously, the main thing I know him from has always been Peep Show. So to get him in this would just be like, as a politician, would just be incredible. And I could just imagine like other Peep Show characters appearing in Star Wars just to be in his presence and be near him. It'd just be excellent. You could have oh god, what's the names? Webb and Mitchell as R2 and 3PO just to tie in with him even more.
Yeah, get Super Hands in as well. Get everyone in.
I'd hate that. Only because I can't stand Mitchell and Webb though. I think they're god awful, but yeah.
There's some great sketches. Not to sort of sidetrack and diss Monty Python, but I think sometimes with like great comedy duos, their best sketch is always in their first episode. I think Monty Python has the joke that kills you, but then Webb and Metro have the "Are we the baddies" meme, which is just exceptional. Sorry to diverge away from that. So we're going to move into the main trio. We're doing well for time, actually. That's the one thing I was worried about. So we're going to kickstart Padme each, and then obviously her husband / murderer, Anakin, and then ending with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So round it from last week. Padme, I went with Elizabeth Debicki. May have seen her from obviously Tenet, going to be in The Crown, Guardians of the Galaxy, loads of stuff. Very tall, but the Anakin I found was even taller, which surprised me. Yeah, mine are a little bit aged up compared to what you had at the time of the films, just because, it gets a bit creepy when you're doing Phantom Menace and then Attack of the Clones, doesn't it? But enough about mine. Phil, who is your Padme?
So I've gone for Haley Steinfeld as Padme. It's partly down to Kate Bishop, partly down to Gwen Stacy / Spider-Gwen / Spider-Woman, whatever you want to call her for that. And actually find a bit of a guilty pleasure in Pitch Perfect. She really does have quite a lot of range. One of those rare double acts who can actually, when she has done singing, is actually kind of all right, but that's not the reason I've gone for her. I love her as Kate Bishop in Hawkeye. I think it's a fantastic series from start to finish, but I think she has that level of, she needs to be quite naive, but also full of self-belief. Because Padme had to be very naive to fall in love with Anakin, who would come to her after massacring an entire village of Tusken Raiders and want to just still pick him up and be married to him, which is kind of a weird thing in of itself. And then she has to be able to play the heartbreak. She has to be able to play the senator, and you need someone with a bit of range. But yeah, that's what I've gone for her. I think she actually can play all the parts quite well. She's a little younger compared to my Anakin choice. But my Anakin choice, I'll get onto reasons why I've chosen him when I get there. But you need someone who definitely could have, delivered both on the naivete, but also the self-empowerment side of things.
I really like her. I think when you look at how much she's done for how young she is, she's like 24, 25? And even going back to True Grit in 2010, she can do it all. And I think for something like Star Wars, she'd be a perfect fit, and she could easily carry it as a lead, let alone in like a sort of trio ensemble. Should be perfect, and I think it does tie up to some of the characters that we get.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a massive Haley Steinfeld fan. I think she's great in everything. Edge of 17 is amazing. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. She's got, and like you say, she's got absolute range. She can do completely anything. And like, obviously, we didn't think it would be long before she was in something studio-wise and massive. And like, Kate Bishop is the ideal sort of role there. So she would easily be able to smash Padme out the park, I think.
Definitely. Just a quick comment. Bryan Cranston has great range. Apologies,
great.
I know no one's cast Bryan Cranston.
I
Can we get Bryan
I have
Cranston?
to agree, though.
Can we
Yeah,
get him in Star Wars though? Like he was the best thing in Godzilla, and they killed him off stupidly early for no
Yeah.
reason. And you have to then follow Aaron Taylor Johnson, which no one cared about.
he'd be a great Snoke.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
See, well, I was almost went into a football conversation then, but a new football manager just dressed up as Heisenberg for his day one football game yesterday, which was a bit of a weird one, funny one, but I don't know if it's intentional or not.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd get a Ten Hag shout out on this, to be honest.
No, I didn't either. We're allowed to talk about football on this channel, though. Now, that I'm very excited about. But going with Star Wars still, not football. There is a Winter World Cup, unfortunately. Theo, who have you gone for your Padme?
My Padme is Jodie Comer. I think Jodie Comer is one of the best actors on the planet right now, to be honest. Like, especially with all the stuff she's done recently. Starting from Killing Eve and going on. We just spoke about range with Haley Steinfeld, and Jodie Comer's got exceptional range. And like you were saying, to sort of balance the politician with the mad love story, I suppose, like where she's just so besotted over Anakin that she looks over everything and looks past everything. Jodie Comer would play that absolutely perfectly, I think.
No, I'm with you on that. I think Jodie Comer, you look at the 5 seconds in Rise of Skywalker, which no one knew it was Jodie Comer for no reason, for 5 seconds, and give her an actual role where she can act, please. That's what I am. And obviously, if anyone hasn't seen The Last Duel, also starring some Last Jedi and episode alumni Adam Driver mainly, go and see that film. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I first saw her many years ago in My Mad Fat Diary, which was on Channel 4, a very indie, small production, tackling eating disorders, which if you haven't seen and no one suffers with, I highly recommend it as a very informative little drama. But then you go on to with The Killing Eve and other bits and pieces, and you look at what she can do outside of it. She can speak, 4 or 5 different languages. She is very well versed in linguistics, but also in acting her different roles as well. So yeah, she quite easily, and with a politician and someone who really wants to make a difference in the galaxy, you would find someone who, as with Catherine Tabar, who brings her to life in the Clone Wars, someone who wants to learn different species, customs and languages and other bits that she brings to the role. So yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's a really cool choice.
No, 100% with that. And with Padme comes an Anakin Skywalker. So, recap mine, I went for Bill Skarsgård, obviously Pennywise the Dancing Clown. I think he would be perfect as Anakin, an absolute raging psycho with darkness inside of him. Someone you wouldn't want to kill an anime with that's pissed off, because he'll just bring you down the gutters in the rain. But I think it'd be great. Sorry to bring up again, but I even got the angle pose right. That wasn't intentional, but when I was doing the first, I was like, oh, like this has worked out well. But we'll get to more about my Skarsgårds, plural potentially for whoever does come next. But sticking with Phil, did you go with for your Anakin Skywalker?
So it was a toss-up between Timothy Chalamet and who I actually went for in the end in Michael Fassbender. Fassbender is a little older for Anakin, where I would kind of like him in his timeline, especially playing off against Haley as Padme. But he has phenomenal range as an actor. He's one of those people in this list you can't say is underrated. He has done it all. But actually, again, funny enough, using the word underrated for a film, it was his role in Assassin's Creed that made me think of him for Anakin, because he does the action very well in that. It's not a great film, don't get me wrong, but it is a lot of action, a lot of dialogue versus action. He does that rather well anyway. Of course, again, same thing as Magneto and X-Men, whichever we chose Michael Gambon for, so you kind of like that side of things. Yeah, Ian McKellen for, so yeah, I've got that side of things as well. He definitely, for me, can go from nice to pretty evil in just a snap of a fingers, and Anakin needs that unhingedness because he does toe the line and he eventually falls the wrong way, and you need someone who could be believably corrupted. And I think Michael Fassbender could definitely bring that to the role.
I love Fassbender. I'm happy to get him in a film back this year, and I didn't even click until you mentioned his name. I was like, oh my god, it's the two Magnetos as the Emperor and Vader, which would just be like incredible, incredible imagery. And
Deadpool would have a field down.
he's due Star Wars. I mean, the Argentina bar scene in X-Men's one of my favorite scenes of any X-Men film, in truth. and that to me was his Star Wars audition. Like he should. Matthew Vaughn should in a Star Wars film. I think he was offered one or had spoke about one in the past, and Fassbender just should have been in one of them. And I think it'd be great as Anakin.
Yeah, definitely. Fassbender as a villain in anything, I think, is great casting. But I sort of like, I love both your choices from like an unhinged point of view. Like Fassbender definitely toes that line. He can easily do whatever. We know the range he's got. I love Bill Skarsgård, so I think that's a great shout. I don't know if you guys have seen Clark, his new thing on Netflix, but he is he is off the wall in that. Like that's a big unhinged audition for anything. And again, I'd love to see Bill Skarsgård in more stuff.
The Skarsgårds are a fascinating family. They're like the sort of, not the Scandinavian Baldwins, but just like these guys have just come to take over. You'll find them everywhere and everything.
Need them all in a film together as well.
Yeah, maybe like a sitcom or something. It'll happen one day. And there's and then there's the Skarsgård that isn't a Skarsgård, but got the surname Skarsgård. That's the one from the Batman who's with Maggie Gyllenhaal. Is it Bill Skarsgård? Again, he's not part of their family, but you know, all intents and purposes, he still pops up in all the films.
Yeah.
But going off the rails for Skarsgård for a short while. Theo, let's talk your Anakin.
I had a toss up between two, sort of similar to Phil. So I was thinking from a younger sort of standpoint, Dacre Montgomery from the last season of Stranger Things, because I think he's a great actor and I'd love to see him in more stuff. And I think he towed the line really well of Unhinged in that. But I went for Dev Patel in the end because Dev is, again, one of the finest actors working, and he has the emotional range that Anakin needs. Sort of thinking back to Attack of the Clones, the sort of big moments Anakin has when he's shouting about he's killed the men, the women, and the children. You've got that scene, and then you've got everything in Revenge of the Sith, and I could see him playing off against Charles Dance really well. I could see him trusting Charles Dance's Palpatine, and I think that would be a nice little tandem. And especially playing off against Jodie Comer, I think that's two actors with immense emotional range, especially for those big scenes on the big scene on Mustafar as well.
I think Dave Patel's an unbelievable choice because you can't see it in his face, like the darkness and like this guy's going to blatantly fall like Fassbender and Bill Skarsgård. But then, as you said, he's got the emotion to then do it, which makes it kind of more devastating when you really sort of bring it down. And I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think he's definitely got that unhinged line to. Definitely agree with that one.
And just a quick comment from Martin. Love Fassbender, but he's a bit old. Would have been a brilliant Bond. I'm with you on that, Martin. I think the time has gone now.
That's why I kind of had that issue in my head between him and Timothy Chalamet, but I thought Timothy Chalamet was a little bit too young for Anakin in Episode 3. So I kind of,
And he's Paul, which is like basically Anakin and Luke's predecessor. But that's a Jude comment. Oh God, I'm not going to reboot Jude. He hasn't even finished yet. We're going to go on to our last one. The man of the hour. The reason why we're doing a Star Wars month. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obviously, you know, it's kind of offensive but inoffensive to reboot it the week it comes out. We're 4 days away. But this is where we're just going to go over our picks for who we cast to play Obi-Wan. Now, I went for Alexander Skarsgård. Purely because I just wanted Duel of the Fates to be the two Skarsgårds fighting each other on a lava planet. I think it would be phenomenal. And when he gets to say, "You're my brother, Anakin," I've won at cinema. It's now Stellan's not playing the Emperor in mine because of Dune. He's kind of already nabbed from that perspective. But that is my Obi-Wan Kenobi. But over to both of you. Phil, who have you gone for?
So I've gone for Ralph Fiennes for Obi-Wan for me personally. I mean, you take him from being Voldemort through to Arthur, in going from Harry Potter through to the Kingsman and everything and anything in between. I feel like he's getting on more and more roles at the moment. Like he is building up quite a head of steam for the back half of his career, as it were. The early part was good, but now you really see him coming into his own as an actor. I think he is phenomenal in everything that he ever touches. But not only that, he is so believable as a father figure that also could be portrayed. Also has that naivete to train someone he didn't think he could. And actually, Kingsman's probably the best example of that, of where he tried to stop his son from joining the war failed in doing so, and then decided to pick up the mantle to train people from there and do things properly. And I think it's again, Voldemort. We have Jason Isaacs, we were talking about earlier. He has that level of respect there. It's just, yeah, I wanted someone for Kenobi who had that proper level of kindness and respect, and a voice that you could see why he became a Jedi Master. Like he would epitomize the ideal master who could have a relationship with anyone. And when it comes down to it, for Duel of the Fates, can you imagine him as Obi-Wan with, again, that immortal line of, "You are my brother Anakin, you know, I loved you." I mean, come on. That, for me, is where I went down. Then also then playing off General Grievous. Can you imagine him versus David Spade there with the immortal "Hello there"? Like, it would be, yeah, that's definitely why.
Ralph Fiennes' Obi-Wan would be the most like terrifying, incredible Obi-Wan you'd ever get. Like, he'd be so unhinged but polite. It'd be great. I love Ralph Fiennes. I'm a massive. I think he's I don't want to say he's underrated, but I think Ralph Fiennes
he's not these days. He really isn't.
No, there's something about him where he doesn't not get that accolade because, you know, he's like leading. I think he's leading a West End show at the moment. I just don't think there's ever been that like leading man. Yeah, proper recognition. That's probably the better term. I've never felt him as like a leading man in Hollywood or in the big films. He's always been, because he's so incredible at being a villain. And obviously, I don't know if you know that he was touted for Bond in the 90s, but they literally said, "You are a killer. Like, we can't have you as James Bond," which is the biggest compliment. And I guess, you know, he got to be M eventually. And it'd be a shame if he doesn't come back, but I understand why they're going to likely reboot it all. But I'm a massive fan of his, and I always have to give a shout out every time his name is mentioned in my house. He was born on the same day of the same year as my dad. For some reason, we've been told that growing up, so I've always known his birth date and his age. But yeah, just get that out there.
Yeah, I love that choice as well. You need someone whose voice would carry and who like who had that commanding presence and commanding voice as well. And yeah, Ray Fiennes is he's a walking legend, isn't he? So
yeah. And Theo, who would you be casting if you're Obi-Wan?
So I actually went pretty boring, to be honest, because I've gone for another Scottish man of a similar age to Ewan McGregor. I went for David Tennant. The reason I did that, I was thinking mainly about the big scenes that Obi-Wan has, and like you were just saying, Phil, like the massive scene when Anakin's burning, "You were my brother Anakin, I loved you," especially the scene before that when he's like, "Your new empire," like stuff like that. Like, I think David Tennant would absolutely smash that stuff out of the park, and he, again, someone who has deserved to be in more films over the course of his career as well. So yeah, big up David Tennant.
I love Tennant. I think it's across the 3 or 4 episodes we've done, he's been my favorite Obi-Wan casting. And I don't know why I'd never thought of him. Especially now at the moment, he's back in the news because filming Doctor Who's coming back, which is fantastic in its own right. But yeah, as you said, he can bring the performance needed to those scenes. And I also think David Tennant would be bloody phenomenal in a lightsaber duel. Like, he strikes me as the actor that just has a lot of fun on the films he works on. Like, yes, he can do drama, he can do comedy, but you just know he'd be absolutely loving life doing that. And you know, he had a role in Clone Wars. Maybe one day he'll get a live action go. Who knows? But
yeah, because Professor Huang, isn't he?
Yeah, the lightsaber droid thing. That's all I know as.
Yeah, Professor Huang.
I didn't know he'd already been in it. That's cool.
Only a voice though. It was like it sounds like David Tennant though. Like, it's talking is that David Tennant as a robot in Star Wars? And it was.
Yeah.
And he got like a Emmy nomination, like a the really minor one to like guest
role. Yeah.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
But I was like, yeah, we got him to a point, and you never know, he might pop up, and you know, he has done TV and he has done film. But I think you're right. His jump into film. I mean, someone's going to say something painfully obvious. I'm not going to count Harry Potter, but he's never really had like
it's never quite landed. Yeah, it's never quite landed in film for some reason.
And is it because I think he enjoys TV more? He's just fantastic at TV. I don't know, but he is a leading man, and he does have he would get people in the seats. So that's the other thing. He would be so believable.
Yeah, it's because most of the stuff he's done has been like over here as well, especially on TV. Like, and he is known in America, obviously, because Doctor Who does, I think, have quite a big presence over there. Yeah. But yeah, he's never quite made that leap to just film or like just doing film for a certain amount of time. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and then you have things like when he did Hamlet, and when he's done Stranded, and when he's done a few other bits and pieces together. He kind of, he has the range for it for sure. So I could definitely see. I love Tenet as a massive Whovian. I could definitely see him playing Obi-Wan, and again, he would have that. He definitely could carry the emotional weight, and that's the thing Obi-Wan needs to by the end of it. Jedi may not carry attachments; they're not supposed to. By the end of it, Obi-Wan is just very blatant with his feelings and with his attachments and emotions. He just handles it better than Anakin.
Yeah, definitely, and he has that massive scene, his final scenes as Doctor Who, where that's like raw emotion, and he could bring that definitely.
Yeah. Well, we're getting him back. We're getting him back, and Russell T Davies is back as well, which is very important to getting that show back on track.
Yeah,
but that is going to round out the 3 castings. We'll bring up the photos. Never come by Martin. Love Ralph finds everything has been in the dig on Netflix is a real gem. I haven't seen that. Came out last year, didn't it? Had really good stuff about that. I think he's on stage at the moment. I keep seeing, they record stage plays and trick them on at cinemas, which I don't really agree with. It keeps being advertised in that. But that's round out the video. It's been pretty fun doing this with both of you guys. The timing's been perfect. You've got some really good choices. What I shall do, I'm going to bring up the photos. So, as everyone can see, there are the original roles from these obviously films, characters, actors, and all that stuff. So this is how my team look like at the end of the day. To me, it's all about the pairings. You want to look at your Yoda, Windu, obviously your Padme, your Anakin, your Obi-Wan, all those little things that all tie into each other. So there is mine. Next up, we have Phil's, which I absolutely love still. I can't go over the Palpatine and Anakin thing. It's actually perfect. I just didn't even think of it until it was way too late to think about it. I think it's phenomenal. And also Fassbender killing Tarzan, I could see that. That'd be insane. Just those two fighting. And then we have Theo's as well. Another solid one. The Anakin Obi-Wan, I'm just loving there. The whole Dev Patel system with with David Tennant would be outstanding. So everybody at home, that is our reboot from hell on a Revenge of the Sith. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope it's not been too insane. If you're furious, comment it, get angry, we'll reply to them. We don't care. If you're not furious, if you want to see this, well, we don't want to see this because the whole point of the show is that we're rebooting films we don't want to see get rebooted. It's just if they had to get rebooted, this is what we do. And no one wants to see Revenge of the Sith being rebooted, do they? Because it is just a class. I mean, Theo, at the top of your ranking, plug for our ranking video, you put it number 1.
Yeah.
And you kind of apologized. And I was watching, like, no, don't apologize. Like, no one should apologize for anything they put at number 1.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't really that. I think it was more that I had Force Awakens at number 2 that I was apologizing for, to be honest.
But still, nothing wrong. As long as Rise of Skywalker was top of no one's, which
exactly. No, I think Revenge of the Sith is an absolute classic. I think it's the most quotable Star Wars film by an absolute mile. I think it's the one that's, I say, aged the best, just in terms of rewatches as well.
It's behind mine.
Yeah, it's like it's complete childhood for me. So I love it.
I think it's the most popular Star Wars film. And that sounds really silly. I'm not talking like box office, Oscars, recognition. I'm just talking that if you did like I'm not to plug our ranking, what them things called, like median rankings, like when someone will do it's the median, isn't it? That's what it is. I bet Revenge of the Sith be right up there, like in genuine. I have like a humongous poll in terms of enjoyment and what you'd want to put on. It's just amazing, and hyping up Friday for Kenobi. Without Revenge of the Sith, we're not getting Obi-Wan Kenobi back. Without that film, because I think Revenge of the Sith was so good, it definitely bailed out Attack of the Clones more than it ever needed to. And I know Attack of the Clones has its fans, and I don't mind it, but I just think Revenge of the Sith didn't work. None of that prequel trilogy can work. And
I put it like I can't stand. I mean,
I know you
can't stand like bad pizza. It's still good, but it's
Is it the pineapple on pizza? And then
I know because I like pineapple on pizza, so I'm good with that.
Well, you did put Clone Wars at 10th. You were the only one that wasn't an AI robot to do that, but I respect you for it still. But again, that's a plug for our ranking video. Check that out if you haven't had the chance to. That was really good fun. We're happy to
it's phenomenal.
That. And it that Kickstarter Star Wars from towards the end now. We are 4 days away from Obi-Wan Kenobi. Martin says lots of great choices and very interesting ones. Martin, as always, thank you for commenting with us. But the main reason we are here is to hype up Obi-Wan Kenobi. So please do comment your thoughts on Revenge of the Sith. If you're just a fan of the film, would you have recast any other roles? I don't know. Comment them. We'll come back to you. Hit the like button, subscribe. If you're a fan of Star Wars, this is the place to be. There's a lot of coverage happening this week. I'm just going to go over some of it now for you all. So I keep saying Friday's the big one, the Obi-Wan Kenobi spoiler discussion on chapters 1 and 2. this Friday, the 27th of May, 8 p.m. UK time. Obviously, it's Star Wars Celebration. There are going to be videos up on the channel, live streams, times kind of TBC / dependent on if the panels are worth covering. But I would expect the first one is this Thursday night, which is the big Lucasfilm panel, potentially the biggest panel of the week. And then we've got other stuff like Mandalorian, Bad Batch, we're looking to do a Hasbro panel, but some videos that do pop up will be announced on our social media. So follow us on our social media to find out more about Celebration. We'll put stuff on there to say when we're streaming, and that's Twitter at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy. Links to public in that description below. Again, all the socials, best ways to find us. All upcoming videos are always on there. It's been a while, and I want to say thank you for both of you for coming on, for submitting them, because these casting things aren't easy, as fun as they can be. They're a lot harder to do. When you sit down and think about it, it's like, oh god, this actually is quite hard. And that's how I felt of a lot of these. So thank you both for coming on. And I'm just going to do one final plug for everybody at home. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom review comes tomorrow. The Steven Spielberg retrospective is still happening. Obviously took a bit of a backseat during Star Wars month, but it's got George Lucas, it's got John Williams, and and Harrison Ford, obviously, the other big one. A lot of Star Wars stuff involved in that. So if you're a fan of Indiana Jones, you're a fan of Spielberg, Lucas, or any of them I've already listed, do join us tomorrow night. That is going to be played. That is me and Tate on that one. And that is going to round out tonight's video. So once again, thank you all for being involved. Thank you for commenting. Martin, Phil, Theo for both coming on. We'll have you on for some more Star Wars videos, no doubt, in the future. And thank you to everyone at home. So take care and see you on the next one.
Cheers, guys.